Hey, what's up, viewer? Thank you for taking a look at this video. I'm going to be creating all of the physical game objects necessary to recreate Pong in this fashion. The first thing I'm going to do is jump into the command line and make a new branch for my master branch here. In order to do that, I say get branch, and first I'll take a look, see there's only one branch. So now you can say get branch, and you simply type the name of the new branch, which I will call Pong Challenge. Then you say get, you say branch again to take a look, and then say get checkout, Pong Challenge. And if we take a look one more time, we now have the Pong Challenge branch checked out, and it's ready to go. The next thing we are going to do is generate a base object for the roof and the floor, which we're going to call terrain. We are going to come into the scene view. Also make sure that under game view I have it set to full HD 1920 by 1080, which means this outline is effectively that resolution. So now that I've done that, grab this terrain, set it up right about in the middle, and scale it up to cover the entire width of the bottom. And really quickly, go to the main camera, change the background to black, and then take a look in the game view, and here we see we've covered the bottom of our screen. So this is a pretty good start. The other thing this terrain is going to need is it's going to need a, first thing we're going to add is a 2D rigid body. And we are going to set it to static since it's part of the terrain. And then we are also going to add the box collider 2D. And we don't have to mess with anything on this one. Now what we're going to do is create a prefab using this object. So to that, the first thing I'm going to do is select this assets directory, come down here and create a prefabs folder by going like this and clicking add new directory. Then I will drag this terrain object into the prefabs folder, which is going to generate a terrain prefab. I will then delete the terrain object in the scene, come back down to the terrain prefab, and I will drag two of them into the scene. One of them I will name floor, the other one I will name roof, and I will move the roof to the top of the screen. Now if we take a look, we have a floor and a roof in the game. So to do this again for the paddles, we'll come in here and we'll make a paddle object. Real quick, we will set up the size to be a little narrower but a little taller. Something like this for the paddle. Then we will add the 2D rigid body again. This time, however, even though we're going to remove gravity, we're going to leave it dynamic because it actually has to move around in the game, so we're not going to set it as a static object since it actually has to move around. We also are going to need the box collider on it as well. Once again, though, we don't have to mess with any of the settings here. Now that we've got that set up, let's make a prefab by dragging it into the prefabs folder. We'll delete this paddle. We will drag two new paddles into the game. The first one we'll call player paddle. We'll move it over to the right side, and then this one we'll call it the opposing paddle. And we'll move it over to the left side. The next object we can create, pretty simple, is we can actually create the ball. Since there's only one ball, I won't bother to turn it into a prefab. I'll come in here and I'll scale down its size just a little bit using the rect tool. I will add a 2D rigid body to it. I will tweak it to not use gravity also, but since it has to move around, I'll leave it as dynamic. And we also add a 2D circle collider. Don't have to mess with any of the settings here either. we haven't defined any behavior for making the ball move. That's something that's going to be handled in the visual scripting video. For now, we're just creating the object. Okay, that leaves 2 more objects to create. So I'll start with a sprite that's square, and I'm going to call this goal. Since there's 2 of these, once again, we're going to create a prefab for this. So the first thing we're going to do is add the 2D rigid body. Set this object to static. And we'll also add another 2D box collider. And the slight difference here, we do have to set this as a trigger because it's not an actual collider itself. Like all the rest of the terrain, the ball doesn't bounce off the goal. The ball triggers an event when it hits the goal. Slightly different. We also grab this goal and scale it up to cover the entire width in between where the ball could hit. And after that, we will drag it in as a prefab. Then we'll delete this goal. We'll go down to the goal here, and we will drag 2 of them into the hierarchy. One of them we will call player goal. Move it over here. Grab the other one, and we'll call it opponent's goal. Or opponent goal. And drag it to the other side. The last thing we're going to do is we don't actually want these to be visible, so we are going to select them both, and we're actually just going to remove the sprite renderer. And now we have, and actually, we will probably be able to remove this rigid body because these are just trigger colliders, but I'm going to leave it on there just in case that's not how that works. When we test the behavior for the ball, we can double check on that one. And the last thing we'll do is go to the game scene, enter play mode, and make sure that all of these objects are sitting still for now, which, okay, good. They're all sitting tight, good. Alright, so that's actually everything. That is creating all of the physical objects we need for this Pong recreation. If you found this video useful, do not be afraid to like, share, and subscribe to it. And also, if you're into what I'm doing, please do not be afraid to go and support me on the Patreon. In the next video, I'm going to use Unity's UI toolkit, which includes the UI builder and the UI elements, to function and fashion up the UI for this recreation. That will include score for the player and the opponent, and it will include the different menus through the start screen and the pause screen, and the victory and the defeat screen. So if you're interested in seeing more content like this, make sure to check out the next video. Thank you very much for watching. Take care.